Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is CryptoVatsik. Nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice. These are just my opinions. If you do like this content, I would really appreciate a like on this video and subscription to the channel so you don't miss out on future updates. Let's go. Okay, today I'm going to cover Atom, Cosmos, and first off, I'm going to mark out a really significant level, which is going to be our monthly support. But essentially, I talked about this in my previous video, is that I want to see a bear market rally from the original breakout that started our previous bull market. And unlike a lot of other altcoins, Atom has seen that retest of that area, which I think then allowed us to have that bull market rally upwards of 100% kind of thing, which was nice to see. So we'll go ahead and mark that out now as our monthly support. We're going to drop down to the weekly now, because now that we've found our high time frame support, I want to find our high time frame resistance. And so clearly we found our high time frame weekly resistance from this level over here, which we've tested now at this point. So now that we've got our key macro high time frame levels, let's zoom in a bit and let's see what we've seen. So we've breached this low, we've violated that low with this big red candle. And what I'm seeing here is this liquidity within this candle right here. Okay, that liquidity within this candle here has been taken up, and actually what we're doing now is we're printing a bearish underside retest with this wick, or already printed that at this point, okay? And it's definitely got a little bit of confluence with this previous level that was support over here as well. Okay, just lining up nicely with that as previous support that's now been broken. Okay, now let's flip to the daily. We had this previous area of consolidation very briefly right here, okay, that essentially has been swept. Okay, right here. So you can see that. So we've basically had this upward trending bullish accumulation here, pop off the top, blow off the top, swept that origin of that breakdown right here, basically where we lost that level of support briefly, and then had an SFP thereafter shortly, right here. SFP just meaning swing failure pattern, wasn't able to continue the trend. Now I want to bring your attention to this swing low that we had over here in May. And the reason is because it formed a pretty critical range, right? So you can see this swing low here with the swing high, previously the swing low to the swing high. Okay, we'll just draw that out, and then we're going to take it all the way down to the swing low down there, okay? And the reason I'm going to do that is because it formed a pretty key level here. And so though this looked like this was just upward trending bullish price action right here, which, there was a bit of a range here, upward sloping ascending range here. However, really all I see when I see this is a major market structure break here, okay, with a break to the inside of this range, okay, and then chopping around the EQ, and then a break to outside of the range. And so what that means is that this area, the bottom band of this range here, is a very significant area for me. And some confluence that I have with that level comes from somewhere over here. So basically we saw this level on a high time frame, we saw this head and shoulders pattern, right? So we got the left shoulder here, we got the head here, and then the right shoulder here, with the neckline being right here, and then the breakout retest, and then upwards, right? So this nice head and shoulder bottom pattern was great to see. But you'll notice this area that it was respecting right down here, right? So we had the wick coming into this area, we had the right shoulder coming into this area, and then we had 3 candle closes within that order block of sorts, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw over that little bit of consolidation on the head of that shoulder, okay? And we're on the daily, and we're going to bring it over. So pretty tight range, okay, from previously, but we're going to bring it over to what we're seeing right now. So the first thing you'll notice is that it lines up with this market structure break that we had back here in June, okay? So when we basically broke this level of resistance, we flipped it into support. That was a trend reversal, so to speak, okay, on a high time frame. And then we were able to manage to hold that level for quite some time until now we're coming back down to retest that area, okay? And so we've wicked down previously before. I don't think we're done testing it, but this area lines up with the bottom band of this range that I drew out as well, okay? So this is definitely a very key area that I'll be watching closely. So if you're looking to trade this on a high time frame, basically we're on the daily still, right? So there's 2 things I want to see. Obvious one is I want to see the monthly support hold clearly, which is just our local macro low at this point back from June. But the other one really is what we just talked about. I would like to see the bottom band of this range hold. Essentially, what is the breakout from this area over here. Okay, so this area, what is that breakout? I would like to see, maybe we come back down, test some of these lows a little bit more, but ultimately I would like to see on a high time frame this bottom band of this green zone and the bottom band of the range hold if you're looking to go long. And if we're able to hold this green area, basically that would mean on a high time frame that potentially we'd be printing a higher low, right? From this low, somewhere in here, potentially a higher low. And to get out of this overall area, potentially I could see that happening. However, time will tell, and we need to see how this plays out. I do think bear market rallies like this will eventually come back down and potentially make a new low for accumulation kind of thing. But time will tell. Atom has performed a lot more, a lot stronger than a lot of altcoins. So who knows? It could be doing something different on its own. And I'll get into the low time frame stuff, what I want to see to take along. If that is the case, the other option or scenario that I could see playing out is essentially coming down and retesting this low to form some sort of double bottom kind of thing. I could see that potentially happening. But ultimately, we are trading back inside of this range, right? So when we had broken this market structure level over here, we were trading inside the range, we broke above and then it lost above, right? And then essentially what is now just back inside of this range playing around it. So there is resistance above, and I don't think we scream up, right? But if you do start to see this printing a higher low, then we can start talking about, targeting some other key levels up above. But until that happens, I'm not even gonna look there at this point. Okay, now that we've covered the high time frame stuff, let's just clean up the chart and zoom into the 4 hour and get into some of the lower time frame stuff if you're really looking to trade this. Okay, actually we'll mark out our levels on that high time frame first from the daily. So right here we got clearly our high. We had a bullish engulfing, actually quite a strong move on Atom to really invalidate this big red candle and break out of this, but theory remaining is that we weren't able to break that market structure above and have a retest and up. So ultimately what is just kind of bleeding out slowly, right? So we've got that level. We've also got kind of this mid-range level here that was acting as support on these wicks down here. Okay, and then we got a bearish retest on this wick on the underside, which led to the downfall to continue, and then our final just being our low, obviously. So now we'll zoom in and see how these are being respected. Okay, so clearly you can see we came up and we swept this candle here. Candle closed right here, a bullish buyback right here to make this wick, right? And so we came up, we swept that liquidity up in this area. Okay, and then what happened was we had this bearish consolidation as well here. Well, first we formed our range, right? But then, and this being the EQ of the range in the middle, and then ultimately we came up and we swept that area of supply. Okay, and so basically just this continuation, this trend downward, which is fine. But also what we're seeing is a sweep of these lows. Sorry, sweep of these lows. Okay, with this guy right here, and then now sweeping this low. So we're seeing this area of demand being tested. Okay, without being violated. So all I see is really just liquidity being taken up at the highs and the lows, and ultimately without price really making a decisive direction. Okay, really a decision in direction that it wants to go. It's really just ranging, even though it's a downward trend, descending triangle, so to speak, but it's really just taking up that liquidity and just playing around. So it hasn't made its decision right now, and it could still be either way at this point. So if I was going to take a long in this area, I really wouldn't be too comfortable putting a stop loss anywhere except below this low right here. Okay, and so that would be my risk with basically this liquidity within this wick up here. Okay, and so with that, what I want to see is a market structure break just like we saw right here. Okay, I talk about these breaks, right, where we had this red candle here invalidated by the big up candle and then a retest, right? So I'm just looking for that same sort of thing. I want to see a big candle invalidating that red candle with a retest and then up on a lower time frame. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm okay waiting for that confirmation to take a position on this with my stop loss being below that low. And ultimately you can just see the moves getting smaller and smaller, right? So we had this big up move, this up move, and then now we'll see something probably smaller if it wants to trend reverse and start testing the EQ up here and the range high up here. Okay, so we'll see something similar since price is fractal, however, have yet to see that, okay? And the reason why I'd be comfortable taking a long here is because I've got some confluence still in the 4 hour here with that previous range that I talked about over here, right? So we had that level of confluence from this range, right? The swing high down to the swing low here. So we'll just pull it over and see what we're seeing, right? Right here, okay? So more or less lining up with that low over here, right? I think, you know, really it's from more like down here, okay? But we can see the wick really respecting it here, not breaching it right back down here. So we've formed a bit of a lower time frame sub-range within that overall range, okay, which is fine. So that's why I'm more comfortable taking along down here at these levels versus, you know, somewhere up here, kind of with the R&R being less in your favor. And ultimately, that's why I say it hasn't made a decision in direction, right? Because we're ultimately just back inside this range, playing around the EQ here as support and resistance. And it's just a ranging asset, right? There's no real trend at this point. You know, even if sometimes it looks like it's a trending asset, like back here, this was definitely a trend up, right? Like for sure that this was a trend that was making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? But ultimately, like I said, I really just saw this as a huge market structure break on a macro scale where we eventually broke to the upside, bullish retested the bottom band, and then played inside of this range until we broke above it, right? And so now I'm just treating this as basically we're back inside that range, right? So the range still applies, and it's fine to trade on lower time frame, but you really, I think, got to zoom out to those higher time frames to find those levels first on the high time frame, because they'll be more significant in my opinion. So yeah, right now, you know, really nothing yet to spike my interest. But so long as we can hold this level, we'll go back to the 4 hours. So long as we can hold this level, you know, I could see, you know, a long being taken in here. You know, maybe we, you know, start to push this previous level here and up kind of thing, sweep this high, and then potentially start talking about the upper band up here. You know, so there's lots of options in here. If we start to deviate below, getting a bearish retest, then I'd be shorting basically. Well, probably wouldn't actually take a short, but I'd be expecting a drop down down to this level around just over $9. What I would like to see is I would like to see some volume come in. You can see off these big green candles here. Really not much of a spike in volume. Actually, yeah, okay, a little bit of a spike in volume, but really nothing to really convince me. So I would like to see a spike in volume. And like I said, you know, I would love us to see us break this level, regain that level, right? So come back up here, retest like that, ultimately flip this level, you know, that kind of thing. And with a bit more of a spike in volume is what I'd be looking for. More preferably though, I would love it if we kind of dwindled in here a little bit more and got a lower high and then a break, right? That would be amazing. And I'd be basically taking along on that retest right here. Okay, that bullish order block retest, okay, that kind of deal. And, you know, I'd be targeting up here. Ultimately, the lower you can get, right, from this low over here being the stop loss that I had mentioned, you know, that's a 4% risk that you've got there. And then ultimately you'd be targeting within this overall range, right? So the range high being up there. So a maximum, you know, of 20-25% kind of thing. But I'd be taking probably, you know, 70% kind of off the table here, and then maybe 30% kind of up there sort of thing on the way up, just laddering those cells and then having that risk ultimate stop loss below that low. I want to thank everyone for joining. I really appreciate the engagement on these videos. A like and subscription is awesome. And I hope I was able to help you in some form covering Atom today. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.